I wanted to work as a nurse and with babies since I was a little girl. In 1990, I graduated from nursing school. I had 4 little babies. Up until about 4 years ago when this happened, my life was full of babies. On the 4th of July, I worked a double shift, and we were busy, and it was almost 1 a.m. before I was able to kind of wind down and leave. And I lived a long way from the hospital, and I decided I was too tired to drive home, and I needed to be back in a few hours to do the day shift I was scheduled for. And so I laid down in a patient room on a patient bed and tried to sleep, and got up to start the next day. And at 9 o'clock, I met the patient. She was just a very young 16-year-old girl, and she was so scared. The plan was that they were going to break her water and start some Pitocin, and she was going to deliver her baby.
Julie followed nursing unit guidelines designed to improve readiness of patients for anesthesiologists to give an epidural injection. She adhered to the checklist of the guidelines and prepared the anesthetic medication at the same time that she had antibiotic medication ready to go. A number of systems flaws contributed to Julie's absolutely predictable human error.
So I got her IV, her antibiotic, and her epidural bag. Both bags had ends that received IV tubing. I had her antibiotic in my hand. I knew that. But I didn't have her antibiotic in my hand. I had her epidural medication in my hand. And after it started running, I heard a sound and turned to her bed, and she was already arresting. People came to the room immediately, many people. Dozens of people who were familiar with both of those medications that we used. Everyone saw that hanging there. In fact, I said, I just hung this antibiotic, and I think she's reacting to the penicillin. And then someone cleaning the room found the bag. They brought it to me, and they were crying. They put it in my hands. And it didn't make sense for a while. And I kept looking. And then it just crumbled.
Julie administered the wrong medication. Fatigue, identical medical tubing connectors, similar IV fluid bags, and a suboptimal barcode process all spelled death for the young mother. The hospital fired Julie. She was criminally indicted. As a single mother of 4 and with no resources to defend herself, she had to plead a misdemeanor to avoid prison. What happened to her led to the development of the new National Quality Forum Safe Practice called Care of the Caregiver.
Well, the Julie Tao story is really a tragedy because she was hung out to dry for making a mistake which was clearly caused by a whole host of very bad systems. She was truly the second victim in 2 ways. She was the victim of bad systems as well as being emotionally a second victim. She was devastated by her error, as anyone would be. But in addition, she was the person who was the victim of these bad systems. And the lesson, I think, is not just that hospitals need to be responsible for their systems and fix them, which is clearly what they need to do. But there's a second lesson here, and that is Julie Tao was fired, she was indicted, she lost her license because she was presumed to be incompetent. There's no evidence that she was incompetent. No evidence was ever produced that she was incompetent.
Eric Kropp is a hospital pharmacist convicted of involuntary manslaughter after a 2-year-old girl received a fatal injection of saline solution more than 20 times the intended concentration. A pharmacy technician working under Eric on a very busy day accidentally mixed the clear saline solution incorrectly. By signing off on her work, Eric sealed his fate.
I wish I could change it. I wish I could change places with Emily Jerry. I wish I was the one that was dead sometimes. And it's just the way, because I didn't have anybody there for me either. And it hurts.
Well, I think the criminalization is a terrible thing because both the examples that I know, fortunately there have only been a few, but in every case, there were obvious explanations for why the mistake happened, and those explanations all have to do with